This should work.
Let's hope for the best. Let's hope for the best.
Yeah, it'll be fine. Let's see.
That's what she said.
Yeah. Usually I say famous last words, but no, just yesterday I told someone about the ghost story that you told me. I was talking to Abu American. He's on Twitter, like a
top G.
Yeah, and he had a jinn ghost story as well, and this really reminded me of your ghost story. But I mean, in terms of horrific stories, let's start off with your horrific story of the day, because you were telling me, and it was like you sent me a message saying, hey, might have some small delay, a dog just died, your neighbor's dog, I believe. But what I had in mind was way more tame than what you went through. So tell me the story.
So this happened, where are we? This happened about an hour ago. And so I'm just chilling here, I'm doing my work just as per usual. I just got off of a student live session to motivate everyone and to make everyone super, super focused today. Woo! I said it's funny because I said to everyone, look, guys, it doesn't matter what kind of distractions you have around you, you have to just focus. And so I finished this live for my students. Yeah. And I think it must have been about 5 minutes later. I've got my girlfriend over there on one of the sofas. She's doing stuff and helping me with stuff. And then we just hear this soul curling, just cold scream. And we both look at each other and we're like, what the fuck? So I immediately stand up, go running to the other end of the house and open the door, which is where what do you call it? A lift?
Elevator.
Elevator, that's the word. Yeah. I'm too English.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Because I'm thinking there's a fight. I'm thinking there's something's going on.
Yeah.
Like that. Something normal. No. So the guy, my neighbor, had left his little chihuahua on the lead, but the lead was inside of the elevator and the chihuahua was outside. So elevator goes up, chihuahua goes up with elevator and cord. And sadly chihuahua didn't make it. I had a lot of blood and other things all over me. But I have to carry on. So
So it just got crushed?
Yeah, its neck was not having a good time.
God damn, Michael. That's bad.
Yeah. The blood from every hole was also not so nice.
All right. Well,
nice intro.
Yeah, that's a great way to start.
The good thing though, I've changed my suit, so at least now I'm super fresh. And
yeah, exactly. Oh, that there's always a silver lining. Yeah, well. So I mean, and that was sort of actually the inspiration of saying, overcoming adversity. Well, unless you're the Chihuahua, in that case, there's little to overcome. Now you're just dead.
Well, he could have overcome everything by just staying put, but
yeah. Well,
this is the important thing, man. So many people who have dogs don't train their dogs, especially the little ones, right? Because you see this all of the time. The little ones are the ones that people don't train because they're like, oh, it's a little shit, it's fine. No, bro.
It's like an upgraded rat.
You need to train. Yeah. You need to train them specifically because they're just balls of just anger and just energy. Until they're not. I feel so bad. I feel so bad. I was looking after his daughter and everything. My girlfriend's getting her water and she's crying and everyone's crying. One of the other neighbors is in here crying. We're trying to resuscitate the dog. It's fucking messy.
Okay. Well,
messy start to the afternoon. But now we've got some order.
Exactly. Yeah.
Order and peace.
And then on top of all that, we've been doing the whole launch of the real world and all of the the stuff that comes with that, which is interesting experience. We're onboarding pretty quickly, but it's still it's a massive undertaking. It's a big thing. Yeah.
It's been like, I don't know if you can tell, I haven't had a haircut for over a month. I've been straight, just go, 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 go.
I thought you were going to say that you were going gray or something.
Dude, I am serious. I'm getting gray in my beard now. I'm 27, bro. How's that even a thing?
Yeah, you're almost done.
The real world, we've got something super exciting with advice. It's all I'm going to say, which some of you guys will know about. If you're already registered to Tate's newsletter, you may or may not know about this, but this is an insanely huge project, which I've been working on with some of the guys in the team, and that's going to be super exciting once that's out as well.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if everyone because you got sort of added to the roster, like you were behind the scenes all the time, obviously, but you were you're now officially professor.
Yeah.
So I mean, what do you do within the real world?
Really, I'm just teaching sales. That's my whole role. So anything sales. I'm also now getting into motivating everyone, because it's a lot of you guys, and I get it. Like, it's easy to be lazy when you know that you can do something.
Yeah.
Because once people join, they're like, oh, okay, wow. I'm seeing all of these guys. It's like yesterday, I think there were like 15, 20 guys who have already made like 2,000 in this little trial boot camp, which is 30 days. And we're not even finished with it. Yeah. And they've already made like 2,000-3,000. And they're like, oh, wow, this is insane. Everyone else is seeing it. And they're like, oh, this actually does work. So
yes, for real.
For them, it's kind of like a non-motivating point, because they're like, oh, well, if I know I can do something, what's the point in me doing it in the first place? Right. And I'm kind of like that. I can get into that mindset quite a lot and quite often. But fundamentally, it's one of those things where you either are going to do something or you're not. Right. Yeah. And laziness is just one of those obstacles that you're gonna have to come over and just overturn and overcome.
Yeah. Being lazy is gay.
It's super homo. It's so gay, it's trans.
Yeah.
Do you know what? It's so gay that it's trans, and then they've decided, nah, actually I want my dick back. That's how gay.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the level of it. I do agree. So and you started the boot camp when?
So we started the boot camp just around 30 days ago, actually. So okay. Now we're in some bonus days, and we have something which I'm not allowed to talk about, but it's so exciting. That's going to be coming up very, very soon. For all of you guys in the real world, you'll see what this is. All of you guys outside, tough luck.
You won't. Yeah.
You won't. You won't. But that's fine. If they're outside anyway, then you know you're just indecisive. You're indecisive, and I don't know how you can be so indecisive after knowing and doing and seeing everything that we're doing, seeing what we do on Instagram, see what we're doing traveling the world. It's how.
Yeah.
Just how, bro. Like, if you're questioning, just go ahead and sign up.
For the people like asking, like, when can we get in? It's being rolled out, so it's, you know, like I said, it's a gradual process. They've been doing it pretty quickly. Like, I don't even know how many invitations were sent out today, but it's what, 16,000 or something. Like, I saw some numbers fly by.
There were a few zeros and a couple of other numbers in front, but it's crazy because, like, we always want to do things right, and we want to do things right the first time, and sometimes that just takes a little bit more and extra time. But you know, we prefer that everyone signs up. You guys can just go ahead, hit the ground running, and start making money today, right? Cool. Rather than just giving you guys some kind of crappy product that's half working. No, we want to give you the whole thing. So be patient with us, man.
Some of the upgrades are going to be awesome as well. Like the learning center is like a game changer. That's going to be awesome. Like,
that's huge.
Yeah, I've been playing around with that. That's great. And I don't know about, like, to be fair, completely honest, like I haven't been looking into the marketing bootcamp a lot because I've been recording content for my stuff. But I assume you guys have been busy as well. So,
it's crazy.
Yeah.
Super crazy busy. It's for the marketing bootcamp. It's been crazy. It's been crazy. I've got a 100% approval rating still.
Nice.
from all of the students, which is great. So if you're serious
No,
about
I feel
learning sales,
compelled to be the one that says no, I don't approve.
I'm Neo, bro. I'm Neo. If you're gonna listen to me, things work. If you don't want to listen to me, you know, good luck. Good luck. Just don't leave. Don't be getting into elevators with your dog, bro. Because
no, Jesus Christ.
I know, dude. But you bring out such a dark humor in.
Yeah, that is true.
I'm not going to this. By the way, I have a dog. I have a dog. It's the best thing in my life, other than you, of course. But
yeah, no, I have dogs as well. Like they're awesome. And
don't take them in elevators, though, do you?
No, yeah, no, I don't. No, but they're bigger than Chihuahuas. Chihuahuas are like overgrown rats.
Yeah.
So you know, slightly bigger.
Some rats are bigger than Chihuahuas.
True. I've seen them up close actually.
Rats are super dangerous though.
And is it because one of the questions that I got from people is the affiliate thing, the affiliate program, is that coming back with the real world?
Yep.
Awesome.
And it's way bigger. Yep. That's part of something that I may or may not be able to fully disclose yet, but I will be a part of that and I'll be training you guys. So cool. That's all I can say. And it's already made. I mean, I can look now, but I'm not going to. But I think we are at something like, out of 150 students, I think, don't quote me on this, but yesterday I recall counting about 26 or 27 who have already made 2,500. And that's just in the first month from nothing. Yeah. So, and the good thing is as well, like all of the other guys, all of the other professors that are in there are killers. Like they're doing it themselves. They've done it themselves. They know what they're doing, and it's great. It really is. And we will get we get a massive kick out of it, especially seeing the end result. You know what it's like when you get, and you've been working, and you're trying to help someone, and then finally they have that breakthrough, and they're like, and you're just like, it's like that's I think it's Denzel Washington, my man.
Oh, yeah.
it's that gift. That gift is how I feel when I see it happen.
And are you saying that these people started from zero, like from a dead stop?
Nothing. Dead stop. No idea. No clue how to do it. Nothing. Never run an affiliate account before. Nothing about videos. Nothing at all. Like it's so good that even my girlfriend's considering. She's like,
oh really?
Yeah, because she's hearing me every day. I'm like, babe, I will sign you up for HU. If that's what you want, I'll sign you up for the real one.
Yeah, sure.
I'll pay for it myself.
Yeah,
because it's that worth it though.
Gonna pay for itself back.
Yes. And if she wants to do it and help me out, then great. Go ahead, babe. All right. Go ahead.
So that answers one of the questions that I had, because I did an AMA when the real world started opening up and we started rolling it out, and that was one of the things that came up, like is affiliate coming back? Yes. But that's a solid yes.
On steroids.
Then, the good on Trembolone and everything. Yeah. You know, Ronnie Coleman steroids.
Testosterone. No estrogen though.
No.
We're not,
buddy.
Bear in mind though, there are plenty of women actually that are in there that are killing it. By the way, like I was super.
Oh, you made the segue from estrogen to women now.
Yeah.
Okay, I was confused. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. The brain, it just.
Yeah.
Connection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See.
Pops and it goes, bro. You know how our brains are. Do we even have brains? That's probably a better question.
And like, is sales, is that a separate campus, or is that in the marketing campus? How does that work?
In the marketing campus, can't say much else.
Okay.
Can't say much else. Too early for you guys. Too early, but it's all exciting. We're focusing on just getting things right, and then once everything's right, then we can add everything else. But it's a step-by-step process, man, and I love the process.
Good stuff. And then in terms of because you recently you had quite a setback. I remember that, where basically you got more or less kicked out of your own company. And then that sort of ties into the subject that we're covering now. How do you? Because I remember we talked the day after that happened, I think.
Yeah, I think it might have even been the day it happened.
Oh, it could be. And
I was laughing though.
Yeah,
I've
we had
been a
lots
part
of
of this
fun.
business for 7 years, right? And this is how much mental resilience us guys have.
Yeah.
For 7 years, and I'm on the phone. I'm just like, bro, you would not believe this shit that's just happened. And then we had a good laugh about it. We came up with more plans, and then here we are, killing it
true.
again.
But that was really fresh, and that was also a massive like financial hit.
Oh yeah, that was huge. That was huge from a cash flow perspective.
Yeah,
that was an enormous drain. But that's also the stupid thing that I didn't do, is have multiple cash flow streams.
Yes.
Not income streams, but cash flow. I'm talking just money coming in. You know it's coming in.
Yeah.
And so that was a really big hit, because that was what I was focused on for 10 or so hours pretty much every single day. And because I wasn't focused on my personal brand, I stopped doing my personal brand when I moved to Spain.
Yeah.
And yeah, just didn't have anything else. I had plenty of offers. Like I could go and start, I don't know, 15 sales jobs right now if I wanted to. CRO roles, I mean, you name it, CEO roles, but it's not for me. I don't want to be there doing something for someone else unless it's someone who's genuinely changing the world, like Andrew.
Yeah, no, I see what you mean. But how do you go from having a massive setback and then being on the phone with me laughing about it? Like, is that because you're insane, or is that something else?
Most likely.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really know what. No, it comes down to one aspect, I think, which is resilience. And I mean, there's obviously another aspect, which is, recently very much I've refound God, which has been a huge thing for me recently, is that trust and knowing just that, you know what, it's going to be okay in the end. If it's not okay, it's not the end. So just carry on going. But really for me, it was just like, okay, I was in Marbella with some of the other guys that we know, and I was in Marbella, and it was funny because one of the guys the night before said, "You know what, Michael, you annoy me because your life is so good and it's so perfect." I'm like, bro, why'd you have to say that?
Yeah.
And then
no, you fucked everything up.
Yeah, he fucked it. He jinxed me. So the next day, I wake up and I've got this text basically explaining that they're essentially kicking me out without kicking me out, just making it pointless for me to be a part of the company, essentially. And first person that I called was him, and I said, "You're such an idiot. I fucking hate you."
Yeah, you fucked me.
And I said, "All right, let's go to the gym." So we went to the gym, and then I explained everything there. We're in this really beautiful 5-star hotel, and we went to the gym, worked it out, and then as I'm working out, I'm just thinking, right, okay, this sucks. I've been monstrously backstabbed by the people in the business that I've been a part of for 7 years, right? Which is a pretty damn close to a decade. It's a long time.
Yeah, true.
And I'm like, right, that hurts. That sucks. As I'm working out, every rep, that sucks. I want to kill him. And then put the weights down, and I just said, all right, cool. Now what am I going to do?
Yeah.
Because what am I supposed to do? I just got a private jet. I spent 21,000 in a week, euros. And I'm like, damn, there goes my cash flow. Maybe that wasn't the wisest of ideas.
Poof.
And I'm just like, right, who's going to find this funny? Who's going to find this as funny as I find this? I'm like,
yeah, that's me.
Oh no. Hey, bro, yeah, man, yeah, I'm okay. And it was just, and then that's really the thing about brotherhood is that we all have as well is we have a very big respect for each other. But when it's shit really hits the fan, it's like we all come together and we're all like, okay, bro, This is hilarious. You massively fucked up. Here's exactly how and when you fucked up.
Yeah.
What's your plan to fix it? I don't have one yet. Well, first of all, that's terrible. And then fine, we can all just come in, give our own advice, give our own expertise, and then it's go time. Then you go, you come back, and you're like, guys, really appreciate you guys because I needed that. I needed that advice, and then got your advice, and now here we go. Here's what I've achieved. Here's what I've achieved. Tale of victories. Here's what I've achieved from this, and onwards and upwards.
Yeah, I see your point because I'm thinking about it as I'm asking you the question because I'm very similar in this regard where something bad happens and there's almost no time spent on feeling sorry for yourself or pausing and saying, oh, this is so bad, I got fucked so bad. That's very little time.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure why. Because the absolute vast majority of people spend all of their time doing that.
Yep.
How they were wronged and how bad it is. And then they sort of get caught up in the whole, I know a guy who's been caught up in that for 20 years.
Jesus.
And it's so sad, man.
I hope he's not a friend or a family member.
Well, it's my father. So.
Exactly.
So pretty close, but it's just sad to see.
Great live stream.
Yeah.
Great live stream. My father was the same, actually, interestingly enough. He's a really, really good man, but he probably the same as yours. I mean, what was yours when you say for 20 years? Is it?
Oh, divorce.
Yeah. That was a big one.
Yeah. And then, the inability to let it go. And then, well, not so much to let it go, but the inability to move on. Okay, this happened. Now what? And the attention needs to go to the now what?
It's I think a huge part of it is, well, there's two things. There's acceptance and accountability, right? So a lot of people, what they'll first do when something bad happens is rather than them saying, oh, okay, this bad thing just happened. My wife just cheated on me. That's it. I'm done. That was a thing that happened. Accept it. Because the first thing that you have to do is know where you're at. And I think we said this before. It's just like a GPS, right? You need to know the starting point. Yeah. So it's saying, okay, this fucking sucks, but fine. Okay, this sucks. I don't want it to suck. How can I make it not suck next time? And just move on from there. Because bad things are going to happen, right? Always. And this is so many people are trying to deny that, just that alone, and they're trying to get rid of the bad things happening in their lives rather than just saying, you know what, I know that bad things are going to happen to me and I know it's going to suck, but I tell you what, I will be better, I will be stronger, I will be wiser and smarter for next time around so that I don't make the same mistakes again. Because a mistake is something that you can only do once. If you make the same mistake multiple times, then you are a 0 on our scale. You are mentally. Well, it's even worse. You're just lying to yourself at that point.
Yeah, I think that's because you said it's like a GPS, but when you. You used to have these, you still have them. If you're in a city and then there's a map posted, or in an airport, right? You're walking through the airport, there's a map. And on the map, there's always the dot saying you are here, which is very important. Otherwise, you can't do anything with the map because you don't even know where the fuck you are. And that's more or less where you have to sort of come to grips with where you are now. If you're fat, well, first we have to, acknowledge the fact that you're fat. And then we can go from there. Now we can make a plan, right? But if you can't even do that, well,
it's like if you're lying to yourself and you're going to the mirror, and it's the same with anorexia, right? It's one and the same. But it's like if you're going to the mirror and you're saying, yeah, I'm good, and you're not, then that's actually a mental disorder. Genuinely, but it's only a mental disorder of. You can't see life for what it is. And if you can't see life for what it is, you'll never make life into what you want it to be.
True.
That was good. I need to write that down.
Yeah, that was yeah. We put that on a Hallmark card. That's great. Yeah,
that was really good.
Yeah.
I don't know how my brain can still work after like 3 hours of sleep and all of the other things that I've been doing.
For the people asking, I don't have a massive, enormous, expensive setup or a center cam or whatever. I don't even know what a center cam is, but I've sort of conditioned myself to look into the camera when I'm talking. So I'm actually looking at my camera. It's not like I have this fancy setup. A couple people were asking. So
I feel that you're looking into my eyes, Arno.
Yeah, in your soul, piercing it. Yeah.
Well, what soul? That died off
a dark place.
A while ago. I sold that one.
Good for you. Hope it was worth it.
Well, not really. It was half price. I gave it to him half price. He was a good salesman, man. Negotiated. Yeah. He negotiates too well. So I was just like, all right, go ahead. I'll give you at half price. Just you're not getting a guarantee.
It's going to be another course.
It works in 5 years.
How to make money by selling your soul. That's pretty, yeah.
That's good for you. OnlyFans. There you go. Easy.
So someone asks, which is an interesting question. Mike's Chima. How did you find your way mentally if you had no real support from a father or father figure? Like take advice, support. And that goes for you as well, right, Michael? Because you didn't have the most breezy upbringing.
Yeah, I guess you could say that. It's I had a fun upbringing, I suppose you could call it. I was abused as a kid, etc., etc. We went pretty much into quite some detail on this on our last.
Yeah, in the previous.
If you guys want to know about that, just watch the last one.
I'll put that in the description. Wait, let me write it down. Yeah. Go on.
And but yeah, it's really it's like a decision. It's a decision. One, I was quite lucky actually, because there was some of you guys may have heard of this game. It's like Fable. It's like a really old game.
Oh, that's cool.
It's a game where you get to decide who you are based on your choices, right? So you can be good, you can be evil. I haven't played games for ages, man. I can't even remember what you call it.
It's a long time ago, but I remember that game.
RGPs or something. Anyway.
RPG.
That's the one. No, RPGs? No.
Role-playing game, RPG.
Oh, I was... All right. I'm just thinking of the Taliban or something, man. But...
the Taliban wasn't in that game, man. You're playing the wrong game.
Well, I don't know. Am I on the right side? Maybe I was playing Fable and I just decided to become bad, and that's it. Here I am Talibaning it. We are so gonna get cancelled.
The Taliban isn't even a thing anymore, man. They used to blow themselves up all the. I asked to Abu American. I said, "Hey, where are the terrorists gone?" Because they used to blow themselves up all the time, and all of a sudden, like when COVID or there's a school shooting, they just stop. It's weird. He didn't know either, so
it's very strange.
Yeah, whatever. Strange. Anyway, sorry, you were making a point.
Taliban. So, my Taliban story, and essentially it was. I kind of took the same process to life after I stopped doing all of the crazy stuff.
Yeah.
And I got to, essentially, it was like the last few months of school. And I'm like, right, what am I going to do here? Because I was like, oh, shit, I'm actually alive and I'm an adult now. And I know I'm not going to school. So, shit, what am I going to do? What's the man that I want to be? Who is that? What are they doing? What do they do that I'm not? Reverse engineer, boom, 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 boom. Good person, good man, reliable, everything else. Hardworking, etc., etc. But it's essentially, you can do this with anything in life. It's just simple case of reverse engineering. Look at where you are. Where do you want to be? Reverse engineer. Oh, okay, cool, easy. It's people overcomplicate this stuff, like way too much. Way too much.
I agree, and I get the sentiment where it comes from, because it's like ideally you have a strong father figure that you can look up to, and he's basically a superhero. That's the ideal scenario.
Ideal scenario is bullshit for most people.
Yes,
like this. There's the ideal is what we're doing, which is breaking that cycle.
Yeah.
And our kids are going to have that cheat code to life. But
Yeah.
most people aren't. You know, most people aren't even in a good or a healthy environment. And you know what? You kind of just have to say to yourself, like, man, this sucks. This isn't like great, but I'm gonna have to do it anyway. It's either I'm gonna live a good life and be a good person and be true to God, true to myself, true to what I want for my life and for the people around me. Even if your family don't care about you, if you and you're making money, you're doing all of these things, still try and take care of them. You know, it doesn't matter. So long as you're a good person, that's at the end of the day, that's the most fundamental thing. So don't look at your environment and your surroundings. Look inside of yourself, because you'll find much more beauty and strength inside. Because you guys have already been through enough shit as well.
Yeah, well, you know, usually everyone has a story. That's and you know, we could tell stories for days on end. I do agree with that. But in terms of like how to actually do this in real life, I took control of my surroundings and I sort of brainwashed myself. I told the story before, but I you know, I had the Jim Rohn tapes, the Zig Ziglar tapes, Earl Nightingale, all of that stuff. Like that was like I didn't hear any music for years. Like I just brainwashed myself with that, and that for me that really helped, because it's I knew, like, in your environment, if you're not in a very high energy positive environment, you at least you know what you don't want. But now, you know, you have to go looking for something that you do want, and for me that really helped. So I sort of took control over that and just brainwashed myself with that same way that society brainwashes you all the time, but now you take control over it. Now, someone asked, where did you get the food? Oh no, Simon Leviev, that's the Tinder swindler, right? He asked, where did you get the suit from?
This one tailored, I think.
Yeah, I mean, if the Tinder swindler asks, it's a good suit, man. Good for you.
I don't know if you remember back from my my old Tinder days. Like that was literally every single chick would always just be like,
yeah,
you remind me of the Tinder. I didn't even have any private jet pictures or anything. And it was just me and my dog. Like me and my dog, and then me on like a couple of yachts or something. You remind me of the Tinder swindler. I'm like, come on, come up with something unique.
Yeah.
And it's true. This is the thing. Actually, this is perfectly on topic. Everything is brainwashing. You can either brainwash yourself with good, positive, healthy information, or you can just be like any other NPC and just let yourself be brainwashed by bullshit. Like, sure, the guy's a G, don't get me wrong, but was that really worth all of those millions upon millions of views when we've got videos from literal multi-billionaire CEOs on YouTube that are there available for free, explaining exactly how they made their business? Like, that's how retarded the world is. That's how much people really just don't want to feel that pain. They want to be comfortable now, and they don't want the brainwashing. They just want plugged in. Let them they can be the batteries in our cars. Look who we have.
Here we are, lads. How can you hear me?
I feel like I'm the small one now.
Yeah, you're tiny, Michael. You're a midget.
I'm in the middle. This is not a good position for me. This is not a good spot.
Yeah. Spit roasted in the middle.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Steven and I are giants. Michael is just a midget.
I think maybe I'll put it back a bit.
Say it again, bro. Say what now? Well, I still feel small. This is strange. We've got a different setup to it.
You look sharp. You're still sharp.
You look sharp. At least you look sharp, man. You're a tiny man, but you look sharp. Someone asked, this is I like this question. Someone asked, is it correct or is it true that we need to be narcissistic a little bit?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I would agree.
If you're not narcissistic, then you don't, to some degree, then you don't give a fuck about yourself. If you don't give a fuck about yourself, you can't be selfless.
If I remember correctly, narcissistic, the definition would be to have a very almost unreasonably high sense of your own importance in the world. I think that is the way you should sum it up.
Because
And I mean, yeah, that's true.
The way that I see it is you have to have some level of pure insanity to even think. Because let's look at the world, right? Oil, gas, electricity, all at all-time highs, war knocking on Europe and Asia's door. The world's going to shit. Politicians are just literally lying to our faces, and then when we bring it up to them, then they deny it. Like, the world's going to shit. You have to be insane to think that you can change any of that, let alone your own life. Like, you have to have a degree of narcissism and pure insanity, right?
True.
I think much the same. I think that there's very little downside to being confident. I don't consider narcissism running around being cocky, like these fucking guys that are just incompetent and they just run around as though they're the man. I don't think that. I think that's bullshit. But narcissism in general, I think, is necessary because it goes with, if you're narcissistic to a point, you're going to take care of your body. You're going to take care of your clothes, your fashion. You're going to value all of those things versus the guy who doesn't really value himself as much. So he's dressed sloppy. He's not really that clean. He doesn't mind presenting the world as, like, out of shape. And yeah, I think there's very little downside to being confident, but the difference between confident and cocky can be drastic. To me, confident is a guy who's building himself. He might not be exactly where he acts like, but he's on the way there. Whereas the cocky guy is the guy that has very little self-awareness, and he upsets a lot of guys that he's around because he doesn't know at all where he stands. I think that's very different.
Yeah, it makes sense. I think narcissism comes from Narcissus, if I remember correctly, who sort of fell in love with his own image in the mirror. I mean, that's not the worst way to go through life, man.
Is that the one that died staring at his own reflection in the water? Is that the one?
And probably. Yeah. Oh, that makes more sense.
Yeah, I think it's the same story. But yeah, I understand narcissism to a point. I think that it's not a massive downside unless it comes with just a complete lack of self-awareness. Like, you can be a narcissistic in that if you're lined up in the queue and there's people ahead of you and still the chick behind the counter goes, yeah, come to the front. And you just walk to the front. That's fine. But you have to still be on your way to being that man, like to match the confidence that you're giving out. A lot of guys, they're just cocky. And cockiness is a very fucking big turnoff. I don't know if that works. Like, I think that works with American girls, things like that. They like that toxic, like waist dump of a relationship that lasts like 5 seconds. Yeah. But I think that, with a guy to guy, it's very annoying if someone's cocky for me. If they talk and their results don't match their like swagger, it gets quite annoying.
Yeah, then you get into like Dunning-Kruger effect territory where someone is incompetent and he doesn't even realize it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's because there's so many people that they want. I think it was I can't remember who said it, but someone said it best the other day, and they were like,
probably me.
Probably it would be wrong.
The narcissist in him running around.
Yeah, there we go. He's got a pond there. He's just checking out the camera. It's when he says that he's looking at the camera, we all now know that he's actually looking at himself. Right, that's what we okay. So good, but I think someone said along the lines of it would be a very quiet world if only the people who had achieved what they say they do were able to speak. Something along those lines. True. And I think that's so true, because so many people they talk rather than showing or outweighing their words by what they've done or what they're doing, right? And it's like a scale. I think so long as you have the scale balance, like sometimes you can even like outweigh a little bit. Sometimes you can, over exaggerate for like most guys do in front of a chick or whatever. Like sometimes you can do that, but ideally you want them aligned as best as possible.
Yeah, I think it's the same thing. I exaggerated my way to get to where I was going. When I was doing business before, I always acted like I was much bigger than I was, just so that I could get bigger clients. I think that's part of the game. But then I was always moving in the direction that I wanted to become that guy. Yeah. I wasn't just online. A lot of guys now, it's more online. So they just get online and kind of laugh, and there's no incentive to really like push themselves. If you're running around to all your friends in person and you're telling them, like, oh, I'm going to make $1 million this year and I'm just going to do it. And if you don't do it, there's consequences. But if you're running online, like a lot of guys will put like hiding behind some anime character online and then just talk a bunch of crap, things like that. Like there's no consequences to anything that they say. They can't even stand behind it. They're just some avatar online. They can't even face the world. But, you know, like if Michael says to me, he says, oh, I'm going to, you know, have an amazing sales year this year, I'm going to make 500K or something. He knows that if he doesn't do it or doesn't even get near it, that people will be like,
I will have to get into the ring with you.
Yeah, that's right.
I'll have to get into the ring with you. And I'll have to do it with my hands tied behind my back or something. Like,
but I know
that's how we work. It's like, look,
there's a lot of guys, there's no consequences to what they say. So
it's accountability as well, don't you think?
Accountability, it's definitely accountability and responsibility. It's a big thing. As a man, I think they're almost the biggest things. Like guys, you have to live within that logical frame, at least. Like you have to it's
how
part
do you
of
handle how do you handle accountability? Like I can ask both of you. Like if you're coming up, and in that case you're oftentimes surrounded by people that are either more accomplished or more successful, have more money, blah blah blah. Now at a certain point you get to, you know, to a certain level of wealth or physique or whatever. And how do you handle accountability in that regard when there's few people around you that are as accomplished as you are, when you're the big guy?
Stephen, do you want to?
I'll start. I think that becomes quite difficult. I think then you need to find a bigger pond, because it is hard. It's nice to be a mentor, but I think everyone needs a mentor. It doesn't matter where you are. Like even if you're now 100 million net worth, I think you still need someone that you're like, this is the guy that I follow.
Yeah.
I think that if you're just surrounded, you're constantly teaching, but you have no teacher anymore, it can be difficult. So that's sort of my take. And I think accountability for a man, it's probably the hardest thing about being a man. Like the buck has to stop with you, and people don't like that. Like if something happens, it's like if you're at some chick's house or something, or let's say a guy friend's house, you're upstairs, use the bathroom, and you break something. A lot of people would just hide it and say like, no, I didn't break anything up there. You know, like I knocked something off the wall or something, put it back up, just holding together. And then
I didn't just clog up the entire toilet.
You have to be like, I broke your shit, I'll replace it. A lot of people do that. They just sort of like just skim through.
Yeah. It's just honesty as well. Like just being honesty and being intrinsic with what you do, what you say, and your actions. It's like you put it perfectly. Like if you fuck up, you have to have. I don't think it even takes any balls. I don't even know if it's humility, if it's ego. I don't really know what it is exactly. But if I fuck up, I look at myself and I say, right, I just fucked up. That was bad. Yep. Like we can joke and everything about the whole dog situation, just because like that's literally just happened. But I still, to some degree, like if we're going to talk absolutely honestly about that, to some degree, I held myself responsible. And the first thing, as soon as I closed my front door, I said to my girl, I said, I fucking knew I should have bought sharper scissors the other day. Because maybe like, and I look back at every situation as much as I can, and I'm like, okay, what could I have done better, or just did I fuck up? Because sometimes, like, maybe you two are the same, and I'd be interested, like, super interested to hear, because I don't think we've spoken about this. But sometimes I go overkill. Like, I go overkill with myself, and I'm like, man, I really wanted to get all of this stuff done today, but then I've got like all of these different other projects and things that are happening all at the same time that I genuinely can't get to it, even if I'm working for like 15 hours, 16 hours, like get zero sleep, still get to the gym, still get everything done. But then it's like, I don't think for me that there's a line, a healthy one anyway. What do you guys think?
I mean, for me, I don't know. I've been in that position for so long. I mean, that I honestly, I can't remember when the last time was that I looked back at the day and thought, all done. No more to-do lists on my item. No more items on my list. That's it. Yeah. All finished. that doesn't happen at all. And I don't think it will happen until I die. Like I'll probably die with 612 things on my list. That's
and pissed
I'm
because you
absolutely
didn't
fine.
do them.
I find it, I think that's normal. I think that's why each of us are high achievers. I think that it's hard. The pressure sort of makes you either into a diamond or it breaks your back. It's really, you're either going to excel under it or fall under it. I think that's why sometimes it's good to be under massive amounts of pressure. But for guys just starting out, I think they need to be under a small amount of pressure. I've said it before, like guys don't just run in and start benching or doing shoulder press with the 80s, like dumbbells. Your shoulders can only take maybe the 10s or the 15s or the 20s. It takes time, but you get under pressure and stress in smaller areas and it expands over time where you can handle more heat. And I think, for guys, it's difficult for them because I guess the same, again, it comes down to accountability as well, right? Like a lot of with what we do, no one's really watching all of it. Like we could just fuck around during the day and like skive off and do half of what we're meant to do and, catch up later or just fuck around in general. So it comes down to you got to be self-motivated. You got to watch yourself. I think with a guy, what makes you either exceptional or like a failure or some sort of addict or a disaster is just what you do when the door's shut, like what you do behind the scenes when no one's watching what you do. True. Because that's sort of what makes you either a winner or a loser. That's what I believe.
Yep. Yeah, I agree.
There's no one looking in. Like that's when you can do whatever the fuck you want. Guys can turn on the Pornhub and just generally fuck around. They can say anything they want outside, but once the door's shut, they can essentially do whatever they want. And that's
a good one. I had a DM. I'm not going to say who it was, but I had a DM from someone today talking about just that. And she's like, "Bro, how do I stop doing it?" I'm like jacking off to the black and the orange.
It's the rush, right? It's the dopamine fucking thing.
Yeah,
I've seen guys that fucking had a girl that I'm seeing, or one girl that I'm seeing, and she fucking tells me she gets in an Uber. And she walked in to get in the Uber and she saw the driver on OnlyFans. Like he was watching a fucking video as she walked around to get in. Apparently he's like, as soon as she got in the car, he's like, dropped his phone and it still had audio.
It's like, here's the thing. If people just acted like, and I said to him, I'm like, bro, look, it's just embarrassing. Right? It's just embarrassing. And if you, not only if other people saw you doing it, would you be embarrassed, but anyone who watches porn, I swear to God, and this is what I said to my friend earlier. I say friend, loose acquaintance, but I said to him, bro, go ahead and film yourself fucking doing it. Film yourself doing it. I guarantee you'll never do it again. Because it will embarrass you that much.
It's the thing. It's like you can be an observer in life or you can be a participant. A lot of guys are getting conditioned to just observe others having sex, kind of like cucking themselves, essentially. It's very... And then when it comes time to deliver, I don't even know if they can fuck. Like I think that if they watch it too long, they're just used to being in the background. It would be hard to actually perform.
It's a big thing. I was speaking with someone else, and they're a psychologist, basically, a good friend of mine. And they were saying to me that there's this massive like epidemic of ED, like erectile dysfunction and everything, but it's actually mainly, it's not that there's anything wrong physically, but it's more of a mental thing now. And I'm like, how fucked up is that you can't even get your own dick up?
Yeah, it's fucked up. They can't even, because they can't replicate the rush from porn as well.
Yeah.
And a lot of guys just jack off in like fucking 2 seconds. They're trying to get it over with as quick as possible. And then when they're with a woman, they get a real distorted view of what sex is meant to be like. They think that it's like shit that you just meant to like put your dick in and just start fucking within like 1 second. They don't think that make it enjoyable for her at all. And then she's just like, well, I didn't like that. And then ghosts them. I think it's like she's just ready in like half a second. It's just
it's true. It is true. And it's funny to me as well because it all again, it stems from like your brain controls your body, you control your brain.
That's a good point.
Is something that I said in HU earlier.
Yeah.
Your brain controls your body, you control your brain. So whatever you do or don't do, whose fucking fault is that?
Yeah,
like it's real. Like if I wanted to pick up this bottle of beer, I just picked it up. If I don't want to pick it up, it can be there for 5 days and I won't touch it. if I don't want to do it.
It's easy when you've got the mindset, right? Like, but I think a lot of these guys just starting from absolute rock bottom, like they're addicted to that little thrill. But then you'll ask him what else in his life's exciting, and he probably has absolutely nothing else. So he's like watching porn, and some of them they accelerate and they're watching porn in like inappropriate areas, like watch it even in like public and that. But that's just because they want like that small dopamine spike, like they just need it quickly. They're not even, it's not even sexual anymore. It's just like that slight rush because they don't get it anywhere else. Like they don't get noticed by women. They don't really get noticed by like even other men, like don't treat them well at all. They have, a lot of them are broke and they're not really doing anything like gym, things like that. It's easy to sit in front of a computer with like your pants around your ankles. You know, there's no like barrier of entry.
I've got pants on. I'm just saying, you guys can just see the top part. I just want everyone, you know.
Just one hand goes missing and we'll start to wonder.
It's all right. I'm right-handed, so if you see this one moving, you know, just give a word to the wise. But it's true. I think it was Jordan Peterson who said something about this in one of his lectures, and he was saying that, like, porn for so many people has kind of become this escape route, right? It's become an escape from the day-to-day reality. And I think, oh man, it's sad. It's really sad.
Sex, really, is it? Like, I don't think that it's about sex. Like, you watch porn or guys watch porn or whatever. I don't think it's about sex anymore. I think it's more about, like, they just want that quick rush. Yeah. Like that thrill, like just get
like a coping mechanism. Do you mean?
Distraction, a big distraction. It must be like, you know, a massive distraction. It'd have to be on par with drugs, porn in general. How excited guys get over it, or like addicted. You just see OnlyFans, you know, like that's the next level. Guys can watch girls that they've kind of known in real life, like or heard of or wanted to fuck. Now they can watch like simulated videos and that of them and pay for it. It's crazy, but that's the game. You know, like, I don't blame the girls for profiting off it. Like a lot of guys get angry at girls or agencies or things like that and say, oh, it's, you know, it's their fault. You know, they're. But how can you blame someone when you're buying the product?
I felt bad when I had my when I had my agency and stuff. I felt bad. Like I made it very, very clear to anyone that was chatting that, look, we're in the business of actually helping these guys. It's like there was one guy, and I'll always remember him, a guy that we all know, that I was on his account for. And essentially, there was this one dude, like super long hair, just greasy as anything. And so we started from like square one, and we're like, oh man, your hair's really nice. And then from that moment onwards, he's just in love, right? He's completely
the ultimate customer.
Yeah. No, but I swear.
Grooming like a professional.
But this guy, eventually, we got him to the point where he was clean. He was clean. He went out and actually found himself a job because obviously he couldn't pay for, you know, too much. So he wanted to support her and whatever. So he actually went out and found a job and then actually did something better with his life. So it can be a good and a cause for good. But at the same time, if I was a chick, I don't blame you. I don't blame you.
You got to get them earning more. You got to get them earning more so they can spend more. That's the ultimate play, right?
Dude, it's just smart. Like any other sales funnel,
businessman.
Yeah, you're healing the world one simp at a time. It's admirable, man.
But I wonder if that didn't exist, like what would those guys do? Like would they become like a weapon running around blowing people up? You know, so I think that it's a very minor thing. Like they still think that they get to talk to a girl, even if they have to pay. I think that need is still a real thing. Like if they weren't getting that filled, some of them might be like school shooters and shit.
I 100% agree. Like from the shit that I've read, I genuinely have no doubt that the world would be actually a much darker place without it.
I think so. I think even though porn, like guys will say porn is a disaster, and I agree that it is, but if it didn't exist, like what are these guys going to do? Like what else? Would they just be drug addicts, or would they just be chasing some other dopamine spike?
But there was a time before porn, though. I mean, I remember. I'm that old, but
you watched the first porn video ever made, didn't you?
Yeah, probably.
The old cassettes where you had to go to the sex dens or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. The sex tapes were in you went to the video, you know, the video rental place, and then you had to like in the back, you know, And
Sounds
but
like
there
you
was
know
a
a lot
time.
about this.
Come again?
Sounds like you know a lot about that.
Yeah. Well, it was
He
a
knows
thing.
where he knows where exactly. He knows where.
Like Blockbuster.
Yeah,
Exactly.
You
Yeah.
gotta remember the categories.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember
See?
those. But
But
yeah, I agree that it's a damaging market. I would very much look into who's running porn, like who introduced it, and who profits off it, and why it's free. Like it's very obvious to me why it's free.
yeah.
But yeah, it's a damaging industry. But I guess a lot of those guys, it's like natural selection in the most modern form to me. Like a lot of guys aren't meant to reproduce; they're just not. So there's always going to be something that comes along to take them out of the pool.
Yeah,
It doesn't
that
matter
makes
if it's
sense.
porn today. It doesn't matter if it's something else next year. It's just
Yeah.
the way that it goes. It always will be. Next, it'll be VR. A lot of guys won't ever even be able to fuck a girl one time in real life, so they won't reproduce.
That's gonna be fun.
That's natural selection to a point. A lot of guys aren't meant to fucking. There's always something.
Suicide, porn,
There's
jail.
always something that's come up in every century that's wiped out a certain type of man. That's just the way that it's meant to be, and that's the way that it always will be.
Yeah, that's an interesting perspective. Like we let's see. So Nathan asked, "How often do you gentlemen do this? Much respect for setting this up."
Once
it's
a week.
supposed-
We're
we're
do
doing
once
it
a week,
weekly, right?
Yeah, weekly.
Yeah,
Depends on it weekly. We're all busy, but weekly we've been doing it.
yeah, that'd be super cool.
We did the business one last week, the women one before that.
Yeah, exactly. And then
I think the last one was on my Instagram. I think.
we did an Instagram live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you guys check on my Instagram, it's on my Instagram Reels page.
Yeah. Can I link that? I don't even know. Is that a thing?
Just link my IG, I guess, at Michael J. Ringer.
I'll do it in the description.
But you're right as well, Stephen. And the more I think about it, the more and more that it's such a flat out universally true thing that you've just said. Because like I think I posted on my IG earlier that there's so many studies now that believe that because we just hit 8 billion people today, and there's so many studies that are suggesting that we're going to reach 9 billion and then slowly drop off to about 6.2, I think it is. And it's true because like if you're looking at history, the poor men were the ones that went to war.
Yeah, that's right.
The politicians didn't go to war.
Always the
The
peasants.
politicians got to stay at home and fuck your wife.
Yeah.
You know,
it's funny how like the soul like around. I'm in Warsaw now, so I deal with a lot of Ukrainian, Russian guys and women as well. Know many of them, and it's their strongest die in war. Like their physically strongest men have always died in war. That's just how it is. Like the ratio of men to women in Russia is, I think it's like 88 dudes to 100 women or something like that.
Oh,
so
yeah.
that's a considerable.
They put like 20 million people through the meat grinder in World War II.
So they lose their strongest men. So you've got to really wonder when how natural selection works is that a lot of guys think that the alpha males or whatever, they're meant to make it. That's bullshit. Like they're just they're not. They've always been the ones that got fucking chucked away the fastest. Jails
and it's like all of these social concepts about like nationalism, for example. I couldn't give a shit about the UK. Yeah. I couldn't care less. No way am I dying for a country that doesn't even care about me. That's trying to put children through these horrific medical procedures that don't support them, that genuinely don't care about the soldiers that have died before. Why would I? Why would I? And that's why some of these countries have made it mandatory, I think, because it doesn't make any sense for you to go and support something that's not actually going to support you, right? I just don't see that relationship healthy or working.
It's like simping for your country.
Yeah, 100%. And bro, you're literally, right, you just blew my mind. Taxes are OnlyFans, bruv.
See?
Taxes are OnlyFans.
Exactly.
With promises of fucking infrastructure that you know.
With promises of you seeing nudes and you don't get any nudes, but you carry on paying because you're a simp.
What do you think of this then? Like, you think that the strongest men generally die in war? Like in these countries, like specifically Russia and Ukraine, they're sending like their 19, 18-year-old sort of athletic guys become soldiers and generally get wiped out. What do you think of the term then when you look back and you think the meek shall inherit the earth? Do you think that that's pretty much what's happening? Like when you see a lot of how these blue-pilled tech guys have sculpted the world, do you think that
that's a
alphas
good
have
point.
any place in the future? I don't.
Ooh.
I think they're gone in like a few hundred years. They're getting bred out.
Yeah,
They don't need it in a tech world.
I think that they won't get bred out, and I'll explain why. Because if we look at just the modern dating world as a whole, sure, women want to get fucked by masculine men, guys like us, successful, blah blah blah. But these blue pill simp dudes, they're done. They're done for. Like I'm talking about the people that are paying for OnlyFans, etc. The silicon tech giants, like the 100 mil above.
Yeah, I mean the ultimate providers, the beta male providers, the guys that are sculpting the tech platforms to reward beta male behavior and punish alpha male behavior. Society in general, to me, like laws and that, they punish alphas. They don't.
Yeah.
The laws aren't set up to like.
I've always found that. I've always
Because of
found that saying pretty interesting. By that it's a Jesus quote, but it's very interesting that basically what he's saying is that if you don't strive to be like the, let's say for convenience sake, the alpha male, you will be rewarded in heaven or in the afterlife. But that never really resonate with me. I don't know. That's not. I mean, I can see from if you see religion as a way to sort of guide a group of people or a civilization. Well, that makes sense because not everyone can be, fighting alpha male, whatever, have all the women. That makes sense. But if on an individual level, not really my thing to be meek.
So just to clarify, so are you saying Jesus was for like paraphrasing, obviously, that it was to be an alpha male or to be more of a beta male? Which one?
When he says the meek shall inherit the earth, it's what he, if I remember correctly, what he means is that if you forego the pursuit of power, let's put it like that, you will be rewarded basically in the afterlife, or for your efforts.
So I'm pretty sure someone in the comments is going to say, "No, you're wrong, Michael." But I'm pretty sure that that was added in one of the updates or rewrites of the Bible.
Are we updating the Bible?
Yeah, I read the Bible.
Who's doing that?
The Catholic Church, others.
Oh, okay.
There was a meeting with Julius Caesar that threw out, I think it was 330 books or something.
Oh,
as well. That like the Bible's changed a lot.
But
the Hebrew Torah, however, we now know actually as of this week that it hasn't changed at all in the past 3,000 years, which is fascinating to me. But I think these kinds of things are means of, because a religion as a whole, right, is kind of a way in which you can control what's not just what someone does, but what they do and what they fear, right? Yeah. So if you're saying to be celibate forever and just become a monk, obviously, great, cool. I can control you for your entire life. I can control what you do, how you think, what you're scared of. And if I say that when you die, which is about like the biggest fear for most people, if I say when you die, you won't get into heaven unless you do X, then that is a way of creating fear and in controlling the populace. Yeah. So of course they're going to want everyone to be beta males. It's just obvious to me.
But where do you see the end game? Like I don't see, with how the platforms are going now, the tech platforms heading into a tech world, the beta male behavior getting rewarded so much, alpha male getting crushed over time, single mums raising kids. I don't see the alpha. I see the alpha in 100 years doesn't even resemble the alpha of today. The alpha of 200 years is a beta male today. Like the person in general, the man is getting like weaker and weaker every year. Like it's very obvious to me. That's the way.
There's also the plummeting of testosterone.
Yeah, imagine the alpha 100 years ago, the guy that would have been in like what, World War I or something.
Yeah.
And then you compare it to like even the strongest guys of today, it's pretty uncomparable. It's a big difference.
And they didn't even
not
need
just
to go to
the
the gym.
itself's falling, but it's just all the other things as well. It's hard to express, like if you want to use your power or you want to use like your masculinity, it's kind of like nerfed really heavily. Just to raise your voice, like people can get locked up for that in the West. Like, you know, if someone fucks you around, like, and you just like raise your voice, people can call the police.
Yeah, no, it's
just having a loud voice can get like the police called in your own house, like that sort of stuff. Crazy.
We with the whole dog situation, the police were called immediately because someone thought that the husband, my neighbor, the husband, was beating his woman. They didn't even look outside. They just called the police straight away. I'm so scared to look outside that I'm not even going to. And then I go running. Right? It's like that's. But the weird thing is everything, and you're right. It's like a suppressed M4, right? Like you can let that thing go, and when it does go, or even an AK, the thing's not supposed to be suppressed. Just don't suppress it. No. But here we are, just trying to just shovel shit down the barrel of masculinity as a society, because orange man make bad jokes, right? That's like that's where all of this shit comes and stems from. Like recently, over the past decade or so. I mean, even if we look at a decade ago, look at what's happening, man. People getting like cancelled just for helping people, and
it's absolutely wild. I'm even going around Poland, like in Warsaw, and I noticed that the people, even the women, they're different than like they're not as bad as the West, but there's still like a lot of Western ideas coming through it. A lot of like independent, like strong women, but they're not strong. Like it's fucking very obvious.
My girlfriend's Russian.
Say you're strong, like you want to argue with a man or something, like it's pretty dumb. As a woman,
can't have that.
Because before, and I'm not advocating this at all, but before, if you argued with a man would treat you like a man, right? Yeah. Because if us three are sat down, and a woman comes up to us and starts shouting and screaming, and we're just chilling at a club or whatever, or at a bar, and she comes shouting and screaming at us, none of us are going to hit her. If it's a guy, all three of us are probably going to hit him, right?
Once.
So the repercussions for a women before, like even back in, let's say, the 60s, the repercussions for women to say something against men was, okay, we'll treat you like a man then.
Yeah.
Because
a lot of our strengths are kind of, like you said, they're nerfed. Like the things that we can do, it's getting harder to even like, if you've got a disagreement with a woman, it's very hard to even like get your point across, because a lot of what we know you can't use. Like you can't use your voice, you can't like even a lot of the like if it's a public thing that's happening, like you see guys, like you see like someone like Jordan Peterson even, and he's like quite tame, and he just has a debate with a woman, and you see that he's got to like tread around a bunch of landmines so that he doesn't get cancelled, and she can just like fully have the Gatling gun going, just firing. He's constantly like, and he's a wordsmith. So when someone who isn't one, it's very difficult not to get cancelled.
It's a really good thing as well. Like this is one of the things that I brought up. I think I brought it up, or at least I will bring it up in the marketing campus, which is about your communication skills and just being articulate and thinking as you're talking, and also leading the conversation. Because what Jordan did in that conversation with Kathy Newham was just beautiful. It was beautiful. I saw him just leading her. She's the one who thinks that she's in control of the conversation, right? Because she's the one that's asking all of the questions. But his responses were leading her down a particular path. And this is, I won't get too much into the teachers, but this is a part of something that I teach, which is getting the response that's needed that leads to the end result that you want, right? Sure. So like sales and being a wordsmith, as you were saying, Stephen, it's fucking cheat code to life. Cheat code to life.
See, Tate, when he talks, he's very fucking like articulate. He like prepares each word, I guess, delivers it right on time. It's not some like, you know, there's no like real wasted words when he talks. It's very like precise. Straight to it. Kind of like a dagger, you know, like a dagger straight into them. They can't really retaliate.
Yeah.
And when someone can't retaliate, they will retaliate, but they'll just do it emotionally, and then you can fuck them up with logic.
Yeah, that's easy, right?
And that's easy. That's really easy. Like
I saw a good comment by Charlotte, who said, "Meek is people who have a sword, but choose the right time to use it." I've heard that before somewhere, where meek is not.
I don't think meek is so much a complete weakness. I think meek, they still have the ability to defend themselves, whereas I think a lot of guys now, they're not really meek because they're more like a worm. Thinks they're a stoic. You know, a lot of them will say, "Oh, I'm a stoic guy," but you're more like a worm. A worm's defense can only be to dig itself further into the ground. Like it doesn't have any fucking like tool to attack. Its only tool is to dig deeper into the ground and hope not to get attacked.
You're not stoic, you're a worm.
I'm getting that tattooed, bro. I swear to God.
That's got to be a t-shirt, Stephen.
You have to be able to
we should start. Guys, I can't see the comment section, but please, we should genuinely start a label. We should start a t-shirt label just with the quotes from the stuff. That
you're not a stoic, you're a worm.
Most stoics to me are worms. They can't defend themselves. They can't attack. A lot of them are these like intellectual guys that are like, "Oh no, I'm too smart, man." Like bombs could fall on like pretty much their neighbor's house, and they wouldn't pick a gun up and fight. They'd just be like, "Nah, man, that's for the army. I'm too smart for that. I'm just going to go hide."
Or even worse, it's like those guys who are like, "Yeah, I wouldn't defend my woman because what's the point? I wouldn't risk my life for if like, bear in mind she has to be a good woman and everything else that we want, right?" But but it's like those guys that masquerade around their lack of masculinity, and they turn it into some kind of
virtue
of philosophy, and it's just like, bruv, put down Nietzsche, put it down, put down the book, and pick up the weights, or go to a gym.
A lot of them, they'd let their woman be like, you know, pretty much assaulted in public, and they would do it. And I'm not saying some like girl that you've known for 5 minutes, or some chick that you're on your first date with, or some girl that's like at your table but you don't really know her. But I'm talking about your girl, maybe been together for like 1 year or something. It's kind of an attack on you. If it's unprovoked, she's just walking around and some guy smacks her on the ass, a lot of guys will just pretend that they didn't see it. It's fucking so embarrassing. A lot of guys would look up at the bar and see their friend in a fight, and then like walk away and pretend that and be like, "Oh no, man, I didn't see it. Like,
I was in the toilet, bro."
I've seen that happen before. Like a lot of guys, that's just how they are. They're not willing to like put their fucking jaw on the line or do jack shit. But then there'll be the same people that talk a bunch of crap and often like run around as some like intellectual. And be like, "No, I'm too smart, man. I've got it all figured out." But then when push comes to shove, they're always like the worm with the head buried in the ground. But they won't fight for much. Like they won't fight for a promotion at work. They won't fight for a lot of their beliefs. You know, a lot of them are just getting pushed around by the world like a leaf. And then they cope by saying, "Oh, I'm a stoic. I can't let any of these like emotions get out."
It's using the emotion. I think that this is one thing that all three of us have done exceptionally well just over our lives, is we've had so much pain, so many things that we've had to overcome, that we've kind of immediately used that pain and that frustration and anger or disrespect or whatever kind of emotion that we're feeling, and we've done something about it pretty much straight away.
Emotion is incredibly powerful. A lot of guys who are turned off to that, they don't understand. Logic is great, but to me, emotion or like your creative side or your mastery of that is more important to a point than logic. I think a foundation of logic's great, but a lot of guys go down that logical rabbit hole, and if they have one part of their logical tree that's off, it blows everything else out. Like their ladder of logic is based on something that's not quite right, and then it fucks everything else up that they believe. And because they then can't take in outside like opinions to correct their own sort of ideas. So it can be kind of like a prison to them for a point. I think creativity is very important, and that comes with emotions, comes with like being able to show what's in your heart, because then you can make things happen on the outside world. Like and chicks can have something to attach themselves to. Women love that.
You were saying it's like my house is covered in paintings that I've done. like everywhere.
Yeah, you're a
Things
good
I've
thinker,
done
man.
because
Yeah,
it's
he's very talented.
Yeah.
So, well, this is just the living way. Hold on. I'll show you.
Yeah.
So there's the logical side, which I celebrate over here where I work.
Oh.
So you've got all of the
degrees and all the
certificates and whatnot, and then you've got all this hallway goes all of the way down.
Nice.
You've got a real thing with the sea. Is that right? It's a lot of blue.
Yeah. Do you know what? It's a Santorini thing, and then over here you got some more.
I see. Yeah,
More
but
seas.
more water. You got a real thing.
Everything's white and blue. Yeah, man. It's to make these ladies wet, you know. Because I can't do it. I've been watching too much porn, so I can't make the ladies wet.
But I think that creativity, I think going into the future, that is going to be the strongest thing. Because as computing improves, logic is just like going to be done by a computer. But creativity is very difficult to like replicate. Like, you know,
that's a very human thing, right?
It's human. Like
as I get older, I appreciate art. Like, I appreciate artists a lot more than I did when I was like 20. I used to think like it's pretty fucking like gay, you know. But now,
same here. Yeah,
it's very cool. Like, they can do that. They can take it out of here and put it onto the world.
I said the exact same thing. I had an interview with the Fury, a writer, and I said the exact same thing that you just said. Like, I used to say that creativity is pretty much gay, and then I found out that I was wrong. And it happens every once in a while. It's weird.
Yeah,
sometimes, you know.
You're wrong. What?
Yeah, well, you know, yeah.
But it's and I agree 100% with you, actually, Stephen, because when it comes down to it, creativity is the most human thing that we've got, right? Because the very fact that we have anything is because we can be creative. Like, someone fucking somehow managed to make this a touch screen. Like, who the fuck made it into a touch screen? Why does it work? Right? Like, someone thought about it. And the thing is the more logical things get, and you said this, and this is going to stay with me. The more logical that things get, the more the AI is going to take over, because it deals with logic better than we can. And what we do as people, or the best creations, have always happened when someone has been creative enough to think outside of the box, right? And I think that's huge, because the more that we're going down this logical route of just this if yes, if no, this, it's like these PUA, these dating coaches saying, well, if she does this, then do that. No, that's not going to work.
The script, I think that's dead. I think people realize now a lot of that stuff doesn't work. Like, a lot of
it's sales scripts.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Sales scripts the same.
It only works if the girl likes you, like if she's interested in you.
Yeah, but then everything works almost, right?
Pardon?
Then almost everything would work. Like, I say the weirdest shit, and it still works. So
I agree. I've had it where with girls, I find with girls, it's not so much what you say, it's who you are. Because I've seen guys say really dumb shit, and I myself have said stupid stuff to girls when I'm drunk. And then the same guy could get told fuck off, but then I get told yes. Or she tells me she's not interested, but then another guy pretty much falls over her like drunk, and she's still like, I like this guy, so I'm going to say it doesn't matter what he says.
Yeah, that's another T-shirt right there.
If a hot girl or something comes up to me, one that I'm finding like a 9 out of 10, or I'm finding like very attractive, it doesn't really matter. Like, she runs up and says like how she says hello. That's pretty irrelevant. Like,
well, she's got a super deep voice.
Yeah, I still.
That's a little suspect.
As long as she doesn't have like a fucking dick.
Well, you'll find out at home, bro. You'll find out. You'll find out.
We'll have to check. If her voice is that deep, we'll have to do some sort of check at the table.
Yeah, I'll leave the check-in for you, bro.
I'm sitting down with someone who's like Pop Smoke. I have to be a bit fucking careful. The voice is deeper than mine.
That husky voice.
If we're in Thailand, maybe I do a bit more study.
Yeah, exactly.
I go in depth. Russian to Thailand, personally. It's I kind of like to know what I'm buying beforehand. Yeah. I don't want to do returns. You know what I mean? Because that'd be an awkward, where there is no return with that one.
Someone said, someone says, God's gift to men is craftsmanship. Creativity is chosen from the inspiration of God. It sort of comes down to like the difference between an actual craftsman creating something, a master at something, and then mass production, which is soulless, right? You even see them buildings. Like a lot of modern buildings are so ugly that it just hurts your soul when you look at it.
Yeah,
like
That's right.
communist stuff.
They're only
Very
getting
good.
uglier too, because all that stuff can be mass scaled, like you said.
yeah,
Yeah,
A lot of the houses in the future will be sustainable, so it'll be a lot of like boring stuff. I find in general what they're doing in the West is killing beauty. Like
Yes.
they're killing that emotional beauty. They're making it like it's almost like beautiful things they like to destroy. Like beautiful
Yes.
women, they push them to a body that's like pretty much unattainable.
it's a
But also-
Machiavellian thing, right?
it's like a Machiavellian thing to a point, but then I agree with that. But then it's also like, yeah, a lot of the things that are beautiful are crushed. You know, people want to be as fat as possible. People want to like take medication. People want to be distracted from like creativity or art. Art, if you check the budget for art in the West, you would probably imagine that it's being like squashed constantly because they don't like that. They don't like the creative guy. They like the guy who is logical based on information that they provide, which is most guys. Most guys are logical, but then they get all their data from the government. And then they'll be like, this
Oh,
is
yeah.
correct. Like
Yeah,
science
Jesus
itself
Christ.
is like a tool of programming people. They don't realize that.
Dominic Johnson says you should be a monster, an absolute monster, and then you should learn how to control it. That's a Jordan B. Peterson quote.
Yeah.
And I mean it's a great quote. The weird thing about Jordan is that he keeps crying everywhere. That's the weird thing. Like
It's
the
crazy
guy's
to
always
me, like,
crying.
I agree with much of I haven't watched shitloads of what he says, but I agree with most of it, of what I've seen. But then I also don't agree that he's like, but I think that it's different types of men. Like I don't think anyone's ever looked at Jordan Peterson his whole life and been like, oh, I'm scared to take a punch from him. Like I'd take 5 punches from him. I wouldn't really be fucking scared.
No, I could take
Any
it.
age that he was,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter if he's 60 or 20. Like
Yeah.
I don't think he could really do much. But I think some people are, he's still opened a lot of eyes. Like you don't have to be, I don't think he's standing there saying that he's like the echelon of man.
Yeah.
I think that he's like one of those philosophers from the old times. He
Yeah.
knows
Yeah.
exactly
He's-
what guys should do, and he's very observant. But I don't think he himself has it all down pat. But then I guess like all of us don't. Like I
Yeah.
don't.
No, that's hard, right? Yeah.
That's the thing that like I think a lot of especially young men, they look up to us and they think that just like, oh yeah, okay, we've got it together, we figured it out, we've got life good. We still struggle with shit like every day, and we actually have probably way more problems mentally in certain ways than most of you guys do, because we've accepted the bigger responsibility. We've got more things to do now because we've accepted responsibility not only for ourselves. It's like, Arno, you've got you have kids now, right?
Correct.
So you've got kids. That's the biggest responsibility that you can have. Like my dog, for me, she's super ill. This is why I'm not traveling, because I can't leave her. Because then if she gets stressed, it comes back. She can't drink. She can't eat. She dies, and then it's all fucked. It's a responsibility. And Stephen, you've got fucking way more money than me and Arno do. That's for sure. And that's also a shit ton of responsibility, because if you don't manage that money right.
It is the same. I noticed that it's like fucking, I was thinking of it the other day. It's with money and sort of those things that come along with it. You can have more time. You can essentially buy more time by allocating other things to other people. But it's easy to blow yourself up. Like a lot of guys think that if they just had $5 million tomorrow, that their life would be that much better. But I would say for more than half, if I gave them $5 million, they'd be actually less happy in 5 years' time than they are today. Because your temptations are massive. Like a lot of guys I know will look at my life and be like, oh, I would have never done like cocaine. I would have never done like, been with heaps of girls or done any of that shit. I'd still be this moral guy that I am today. But they don't have they don't have the option for that. So it's different. Yeah. It's like guys will say, oh, I'd never like throw a punch, but they can't throw a punch. So it's not really on the scale of things that they can do. The guys,
it doesn't really matter, right? Yeah.
A lot of guys will say too, like,
Jordan Peterson's.
Yeah, they can still. It's hard to, when you've got money, it's harder because you can go to the restaurant every night, eat whatever you want. You can be fat because you can just do like pretty much whatever you want, and you can lean on your money. Like a lot of these like influencers and that have money, they just only have money. Like the red pill influencers that are now making pretty decent money. They just lean on their money completely and then tell guys that all they have to offer women is money.
Yeah, and all that women want is money. Fuck.
And then now a lot of that and the rappers and that, they're conditioning women to only see guys as cash machines because it profits for them. That's their strategy. It's like the blue-pilled nerds that are pumping all these fucking tech platforms to reward beta male behavior and punish alpha male behavior. Rappers are reprogramming girls to fucking like only value money in guys because they have a lot of it and they have nothing else. Guys can't see that. And that it's also the companies that sponsor these rappers and like pay them massive endorsements because they're spreading the consumerism shit through the world. They're telling girls that they need Birkins and crap. And who do you think owns the company that sells Birkins? They're telling guys that it's normal to fucking be some pillhead. And then they turn around and be like, how did this rapper get $100 million contract? And if they looked at it, it would be from Big Pharmacy. Like, it's so obvious to me.
It's pretty,
people don't understand.
It's the funniest shit.
It's pretty extensive and insidious in a way. I do like if you go down the rabbit hole, like you can go pretty deep. But like you said, you don't even have to go really deep to see that
you could just open your eyes.
Nefarious is going on.
A lot of that shit. And it damages guys like the average guy who thinks that he's going to run around and get women, because a lot of them are getting these like unnatural ideas of who men are, but also what they sort of want, because they're getting taught to be massive consumers. You know, a lot of women in the West specifically, they don't want a partner. A lot of them don't. They just want like a cash machine.
The West,
not money.
Yeah. The West, like I see, and I completely agree, completely agree that a woman should find a guy that can provide and pay for her. Like my girl does not have to worry about a single fucking thing. Hey babe, I need to buy this thing. Cool. Hey baby, can I buy this? Yeah, cool. Maybe it's like today, for example. Hey, can I get a taxi into the town? I've got to do some things and then come back. Yeah, sure, cool. But does she only value me for my money? No, because when I came back from this whole fucking dog palaver, she's come back. I come back and she's just like, man, I have no idea how the fuck this guy has just come straight back, covered in blood and everything else that was there, and said, I'm having a shower and now I've got work to do, and now I've got to do this live. Like that for me, and we've had this conversation so many times, but she's like, I respect that and I love that so much about you, because that's the thing that I see more than anything. Because the money is easy and it comes and goes. Yes, it's your responsibility to look after her, your responsibility to look after her as a man. But bro, trust me, for you guys that think that money is the only thing for women, no, it's not. And I did an interview with one of the War Room guys, Ryan Benson, on this, and he said something which I thought was, he put it perfectly. Women are seeing you not as you are now, but they are seeing you as you will be in 40 years.
Interesting. Yeah.
I think women, that want long term are definitely thinking that. Maybe outside the West, I think a lot of Western women are pretty much taught, like, get what you can when you can. You know, it's all going to blow up in 5 minutes, so just get as much as you can as quick as you can. There's a lot of them are programmed that long-term relationships is something to avoid. A lot of short-term crap. Just get the bag immediately, and just, who cares about what the consequences to it. There's a lot of that sort of crap. But I think with a lot of women here, I'm not saying all, but in Russia or Ukraine with women, a lot of them won't even be with a guy if he doesn't have like a chance to start a family. If he's some bum off the street, even if he's funny or good looking, they don't care. He's got to be he's got to be able. If she got pregnant, because a lot of girls aren't on the pill, like from that era, so they're like, if we have sex, there's still a chance that I can get pregnant. So they're a bit smarter about things. In the West, they're just a lot of them take like contraception en masse. They have a lot of all that crap, so there's pretty much no like responsibility. If its chance of something happening is pretty low. True. And then
we got a few people asking questions of about Michael and Steven, like how did they escape the Matrix. So I'll be putting the full interviews up in the description, so you can, because we went over this pretty extensively for both of you, so people can look it up. That's going to be interesting. Both interviews were awesome.
It was a good time. And Steven, you're right though as well, man, because it goes back to exactly what you're saying before, because the Western women are brainwashed by Instagram, social media, literally by every angle. And actually, what Arno and I were saying just before you got on, we were talking about brainwashing and just the NPCs, right?
Yeah.
And Western women, I think they have it so bad because they pretend to be this emotional bad bitch outside and out like emotionally, and they use that as a front, and then eventually all of these women I'm almost expecting now socially for there to be a reverse of what's happening with suicides at the moment. I'm actually expecting more later life females to commit suicide rather than men.
There's no exit plan for them, right? Like there's no one going to look after the 50-year-old bad bitch who, you know, didn't have like any sort of escape plan. You know, she's got nothing saved. And now she's 50 years old. Like the simp economy, I'm sure there'll still be some simps somewhere, but a lot of guys that age won't have money either. So who's going to look after them? A lot of them won't even have a family or kids that, you know, give a shit about them. I think that the end result for them is going to be much worse than men. Like men are used to being like out in the cold. You know that if you 60 years old and you don't like have a retirement, that no one's going to sit there and be like, oh, I feel so sorry for this guy. No one cares if there's like 100 homeless dudes on the street. No one gives a shit at all. No. But if you got 100 women down there, it's a bit different. Especially if they're younger, a lot of like simps would be like, oh, I'm so like, I really care about this chick. I just got to help her out just because they try and get sex from them. You know, that's different.
It's disgusting, man. It's worm behavior. It's just worm behavior. And it's also there will always be a market for the cougars, right? And I was thinking about this the other day, and I was thinking, okay, so you have these cougars, but then what's after that? Because when these chicks become, rather than being 60, then they become saber-toothed tigers. When they get to 80, is there going to be a market?
And a lot of these women, like now, I think the cougars of the old, they were still born in the old era. Like they're not these like real extreme feminists that are coming up today. Like who's going to look after them at 50? A lot of them are already obese at 24. Like a lot of these guys, like massive asses in the West and that don't understand gravity. Like where does that all end?
Oh, come on.
Like they're going to be walking around with an ass around their ankles. Like at 50 years old, it's pretty obvious to me.
Don't understand gravity.
I was so trying to keep myself together.
There's no escape. There's no like end result for those guys. There's no end.
Around their ankles, bro.
Yeah. Will be. This is the fact.
Because it's
gravity wins in the end.
Yeah.
Skin can only go so far. It stretches.
Yeah. And then this is these bitches are getting so fat that they start having their own gravitational pull.
Right. The hardest thing, in the West, like they're 25 and already huge. I can't imagine the end game at 50.
Oh fuck.
A lot of these guys can't wait to get in the metaverse in the West because the chicks that are around them, there's like 2/3 of them are obese. Just to be like a thin chick in the West. I know if I was using Tinder in Australia, just to be thin, like even like in okay shape. That's like a 1 in 3 girl. So straight away, her like values conflated. It's like I'm dealing with like sexual deflation.
Sexual
deflation. Now I'm just imagining popping one of these
immediately disqualified. It's like taking 2/3 of the money supply out of the fucking like system. Now my money's worth much more. So this chick that's just like got a dumpy face and a bad attitude, but she's like got a flat stomach. She now thinks that she's
I have superpowers basically. Yeah. No, I do agree.
I concur.
Yeah.
Fuck's sake.
To tie into that, RD Entrepreneurship asked, how are so many people oblivious to the world? Most people, if I say any of this, they think it's a conspiracy theory. Why do so many deny truth?
Well, it comes down again to their ego. People always want to see what they want to see, and they don't want to see what they don't. It's a cognitive bias thing at the end of the day. And it's like if you're walking around and you believe that all of these women are heifer-lumps, you're going to see like every woman that is one.
Every woman that's big. That's
right. And if you're seeing, if you have the mental belief that it's the opposite or way around, it's like Stephen and I, we spoke about this on maybe a live or something. And we were saying like, look, it's like all of these red pill fucking losers and dorks are always focused on one thing. And they're like, yeah, well, there's a 50% chance that you're going to be divorced as a man. Right. Okay. Well, that's actually not that bad. If you really think about that for a second, that's really not that bad. A 50%
100%.
chance to live the rest of your life with a woman that loves you and trusts you, that wants to build a family with you. That's really not that bad.
That's counting the NPCs, the guys that have no boundaries, the guys that can't even tell a chick, what they like or don't like. So I think that's the 50% there that are failing.
Yeah. The competition is next to nothing for you guys here. The competition is next to nothing. So long as you genuinely work on yourself, trust me, it's actually the opposite. It really is.
Yeah, it's. I agree with that. I think that with guys, a lot of the stuff that they do, if they're reading conspiracy stuff, you've got to really read stuff only that benefits you. Don't get into like a lot of guys will get into like some Pentagon reports and crap and just garbage they could never profit off. They're like balls deep in like military crap, like reading about shit that is really might exist and might be real, but it's nothing that you can ever.
Aliens.
It's not pointless.
Like, look, it's interesting though. It is interesting, but the thing is I think most guys get attached to this kind of shit because it is interesting and you want to find truth, but most of you guys are focused on that rather than focusing just on yourself and the money and the basics.
Yeah,
like
a lot of guys will say, "Oh, I don't trust the government," but then they trust government leaked documents. It's just so crazy to me. Like a lot of the shit that they believe is garbage. Like
Big brain.
A lot of guys don't understand that they're likely just leak documents so that you like get a heads up on what narrative you're going to push to you next.
It's like that your girlfriend's cheating on you, and then you're all of a sudden trusting that she says, "Oh yeah, but he's just my best friend."
Oh wait, I'm gonna hook into that because that is a perfect analogy where I think there are
I'm gonna just change my glass because I can't be drinking.
Go for it.
I can't be drinking this.
I think there are a lot, like a massive amount of people that realize that their partner is cheating, and it's willful ignorance, and that's sort of what the question was about, right? How can people be so oblivious? But I don't think it's really them being oblivious. It's more like willful ignoring of reality, or do you see that the same way, Stephen?
I think that it's hard. Yeah, I think it's to a point. I agree with that. It's just I think that it's easier to just go along to get along for a lot of people.
That's it.
They have no power. Like they can't even like for the COVID stuff. A lot of them couldn't really like go against the grain because they didn't. They just had to take whatever was because they couldn't lose their income and things like that. And that does make sense. That is a pain point for everyone. The idea of losing your job or like losing that social standing. I've heard even families fighting over like stuff like that, like medical things.
I do just want to show everyone that I'm not an arsehole. I do actually have the best dog on the planet. For you guys that are hating on me. And I did try my best. So
I think willful ignorance is definitely a one, and it's also going along to getting along. I think that it's like the guy who gets bullied in school to a point, and then he just convinces himself that maybe like today's not the day, just so that he keeps going back to school. Otherwise, he would just
you build like a. I remember the first
victim walking around.
The COVID thing was like. Made this very clear, but the first time that I encountered this was in like 2010 or something when all the banks went bust and there was this chaos, and I was in real estate and I found out that like money wasn't real. Like I talked to banks and they would just say, yeah, sure, sell the home and then there's a mortgage on it for 300K, but if you can sell it for 200K, that's fine. And I remember asking, well, how is that fine? Where does the 100K come from? And the bank guy just says, well, we'll just write it off. And then I went into that, found out that it was all bullshit. Like the whole money thing was bullshit. And I remember talking to a few people about it, and even customers, because like if you have a customer and you tell them, hey, we can sell it, they obviously ask the question, well, how do I get the 100K? Then you have to explain, well, the 100K, you don't have to come up with it. It's not even real anyway. And people they couldn't handle it. Like it breaks their reality. Yeah. So at a certain point, they just say, yeah, well, I mean, okay, that's okay. Fine. And then they go back to their previous reality, which the same thing is happening with COVID now, where people just, everyone could see it's bullshit, but they will never admit it because it will break their reality.
Yeah, the same people that bullied their friends and family into either like getting the thing done, and now pretty much as though it didn't happen. They just don't even want to mention, but then they were bullying either their staff or their friends to get it.
Yeah, let's just pretend it never happened.
I had a staff member or like a staffing issue at a business that I own, and I just said to people, if they want to get it, get it. If you don't. Like, I don't care.
That's the right way to do it.
Just tell the government that you got it. Like, I don't care. I'm not going to fucking like tell you what to do because I didn't know enough information at the time. If you want to get it, get it. I don't care. But if you're not going to get it, don't get it. But I don't want to see him like 2 years from now and being like, oh, I got had a heart attack because you told me to get something that you didn't know anything about. I just left it to them to decide. Like, I don't care what they decide either way. I wouldn't like hate them if they got it or hate them if they didn't get it. I don't care.
No, it was fine either way. Yeah,
that's true. This is what we were talking about. Seth, another one of us guys, we should get him on at some point as well for sure. But we were talking about this before as well. Like everyone's focus when it came to COVID was on just, okay, I need to do it. Everyone else is doing it, rather than just thinking for yourself. I didn't care. I didn't care less about what people had, what people didn't. Like, don't come near me if you have something contagious that could kill me. If you have something which has a 0.01% chance of killing someone, I don't give a fuck, bro. Come around, let's have a bit. But and I did that several times over, but not because I didn't know enough about the information, or because I was denying it. No, I was studying the whole thing. Like right at the start, I was like, okay, well, fuck China. I don't trust China with a barge pole, bro. No way are these stats correct. And then it comes to Italy, and I can remember being like sat at home and reading just intensely. I was like, oh, 0.01%. What the fuck's everyone worried about? Cool. Okay, back to work it is. Cool, fine. But then I didn't care that anyone else got it done, and I still don't to this day. And I feel sorry for them that they were lied to and manipulated, and that they weren't. Everyone was able to go and look at all of the information, but they just didn't, right? Because they were so scared. And this is what we were saying before as well, like that fear of Christianity or of religion as a whole. That is a very easy way to control people, and we've just had like 3 years of that shit, right? So the next thing I think is going to be a very, very big psyop, without getting into conspiracy zone too much.
Yeah.
Aliens. Pentagon
aliens,
documents.
Probably Middle Earth.
I wouldn't be surprised. I think we will see something like that in our lifetime. I wouldn't be surprised. Do you notice it's getting more extreme? Like a lot of the shit that's happening is that it can only get more extreme as people are more addicted to the dopamine.
Yeah, you get power creep, right? Everything needs to be more extreme. Yeah.
And addicted to the fear, right? Because if I'm planning on killing you, like you want to do, or a better example, if I'm planning on emotionally manipulating you, what am I going to do? So I'm going to start slowly. I'm going to push your boundaries. I'm going to figure out where those boundaries are. I'm going to move them slightly. I'm just going to move them slightly. And I'm going to keep on doing that and keep on doing that and keep.
They never reset. They only just go further back
until and this is what the governments have been doing. Oh, okay. So this is where the boundary is. Okay, this is where we get protests. Fine. We won't push this anymore. We won't push the COVID passport anymore. Now what we'll do is we'll take a step back on that. We'll just wait a little bit more and then push for something else. Oh, okay, no, we've passed the line. All right, time to stop focusing on COVID. Maybe admit that we're wrong. Kind of hush, and then we'll start again something else. It's the way that they control you guys, is fear. And you guys should be fucking scared of these motherfuckers, because they will control you. You saw how they got your friends, they got your family, they are isolated you. You guys should be scared of this. And this is exactly why you need to be able to overcome obstacles, overcome these limiting self-beliefs, and really fucking make something of yourself. Like now, because the time is genuinely running out. I don't think most people realize this.
I agree. Money buys you time, buys you freedom. You can be either a slave in the world or like a bishop in the world. You'll never be king, but you can be an important piece that doesn't just get sent out like fodder, like a pawn.
Yeah.
So you can still sort of have movement, move around the board and do things. But I find in general now, what do you think of this, where you sort of see the government that's pretty much denouncing religion in the West, like they're actually attacking religion? And do you see it more as like it's beneficial for them because they only want the people listening to one person now?
Yeah.
Like religion used to be
but now the communist playbook, right?
Like you see religion in the West now, and it's a fucking disaster. Like I go to the church in Australia, any church, and the pastor, like the priest, will be some massive soy boy. It's just all soy boys running the place. I remember I went in there once and I saw like this chick that had like 3 kids. And then I was like, oh yeah, she's got 3 kids. And then someone's like, yeah, they're like 3 different dads. And she was sitting in the front row. And I'm like, what's going on? Like, and then so the pastor needs it. Like it's like
she needs the extra space, bro.
Yeah, exactly.
I was thinking like religion itself used to be based on judgment, you know, like you had to do this or you'll get fucking crushed. Like it wasn't some like option where you just like, oh, I'll choose to do this or that. There was no choice. Like there were massive consequences. But what do you see like happening with that? Like a lot of these guys like religious, sort of like blue pilled, and they've eaten the religion pill, and then now
I'm 100% sure
that they idolize is crushed. Like their religion.
No, but science replaces religion. That's the thing that they're doing now. In the commie days, it was like government replaces religion, and now we have science, which is more or less a front for government. But I think that's what's going on.
That
makes sense.
I think that's very smart, and I think it's very true because they control all the scientific documents that you read. So you get a lot of guys reading it and being like, "Yeah, these are the studies," but they're only paid for by one specific, just bait one angle.
Science is settled.
Yeah, they're not like rival. And then you get the guys that are intellectuals and they're actually like got the degrees and they're the biggest suckers of all. They're the ones that now they use for like give you social proof. Oh, this guy's a guru. You know, he's studied for 6 years. You got to listen to him, but really he's just been programmed for 6 years. He's now got a like title, so people, the plebs, look up to him and be like, he knows what he's talking about, but he doesn't. He's only read their book, and now he's like parroting their information. He's the face, like the fall guy. Because then when it all goes to shit, they're like, yeah, it was his, like he did the.
It was his fault.
It's
like Fauci, right? It's like Fauci. You guys look at Fauci. The guy, he has a history of just bad dealings in bad shit. But he was the fall-to guy for America, right?
Yeah.
Was Fauci. And when it comes to it, the whole COVID thing was pushed by trust the science, right?
Yeah.
But there was no science done. And we now know that there was no science done. Like Pfizer has now come out and said, no, we didn't actually even fucking test it. Like, it's like, right, hold on a second.
Budget, right?
Who's fucking lying here, bro?
There's too much money.
It's these super fat bitches.
Yeah.
That's it.
Big corporations, they got too much money. They can push things on one side and control the media on the other, and actually even attack the government now and make the government look bad by publishing their own sort of documentation. So I think what you've got now is also in the future, you'll see corpos and government. They'll either have to unite, that's probably what they're doing now, or you'll see a corporation running the country in a few hundred years' time. It's not that far down the track.
I agree completely.
Business. It won't be like one man, like some fucking or it will be one person, but it'll be some puppet. Because what you get now is a lot of these guys are coming up on mass donations from the corporation, and they're retiring into a corporate position. Get a lot of the guys like at the Fed, when they leave, they work for a fund or something on an astronomical amount of money.
It's insane.
They say the title for them, and they're essentially a puppet. So
I 100% agree, because it again goes back to the Communist Manifesto, but it's just that, because it will be government and corporation, but it will never be the government, because governments are so ridiculously inefficient, right? So ridiculously inefficient. It's like, I'm pretty sure everyone here knows about the potholes in their local area, for example, right? Yeah. How many times do you have to call those guys to get it fixed? How many times do you have to, if you're on an unemployment check, do you have to call to get it? Or even if you are a genuine single mom and suffering or whatever, like my mom was, sometimes we had to wait a couple of weeks to get the fucking payment, right? And then we're sleeping in the fucking freezing cold. It's like, the governments themselves are so inefficient versus the efficiency of a corporation. It's just perfect example. NASA, SpaceX, Look at the difference.
Yeah.
Like 60 years worth of NASA has done jack shit in comparison to the technological and efficiency advantages of SpaceX. Corporations win because they're for profit. Governments are for profit via taxes, but you can't tell people, I'm just going to fucking take your money, because people don't like it.
Yeah, I agree. And they could also hire the best, right? Like they've got more money, so they can hire the best minds. Some of the best minds don't want to work for the government. They want to stay private. You know, if you're an amazing doctor, you're not going to work at some charity. Like if you're the best in the world, unless it's a side mission, the absolute best in the world, brain surgeon, he can earn like many millions of dollars a year. He wants to at least do that first. And then when his skills start to erode, he can work for like a charity or something, or do things on the side.
It's
hard to get
it's just that.
If you don't have the
It's
most.
like, there's who was it? Buzz Aldrin. Buzz Aldrin was earning, I think it was 70K a year as an astronaut.
That's crazy.
For the guy, 70K as a fucking astronaut, bro.
You got to really
guy's been on the moon.
Yeah, and that's the crazy thing now. Like a lot of guys, even like the army or something, if they want to work in the military, the pay sucks, but also the respect really isn't there. Like when they get out, so there's no, it's like a double slap in the face.
Yeah, why?
In the old days, they used to be proud to be like, oh, I'm in the army, or I was in the army. Now people will be like, oh, yeah, like you're just pushing the government agenda, which might be true, but it's still like it's not a respected job. So now they don't get guys that like the guys that they would have got, guys who were proud to be there. A lot of them are like, well, I'll just work private. I don't want to,
because it's hollowed out, right?
For low money. Same as the police. A lot of guys now that have the skills to have been good police officers won't join, and the ones that will be like guys that have like low self-esteem and just want to bully.
Low self-esteem, power
going to do more fucking like damage to the world because they've got power now, or like a little bit. And then, and also, you know that like if you're a cop and something happens, you're not protected. Like some drug addict could run up and rush you with a knife, and if you shoot him, like there's a chance that you might go to jail. Just because you shot someone who's a certain skin color, like there could be a massive riot.
Yeah, I mean, where I live,
like fucking make your family could die.
Fall guy, yeah, you get fucked.
It's ridiculous.
I've had quite a few clients, like police officer clients, and where I live in the Netherlands, it's understood that, I mean, if you use your gun, you're gonna be like researched for months and months.
Heavily investigated. No one wants to be researched. I mean, if they look into anyone for like 2 years and you shoot someone, they could be like, he binge drank this night, and then use it against you. Or be like, he's been fucking a few girls at once. They can really like damage your reputation, especially in court with like America, because they can bring up a lot of shit that's kind of irrelevant, but makes you look like a monster.
Still, it tarnishes your character, right?
Yeah, and then the jury can be like, I read all these news articles about him. He's a bad guy, so I'm going to make him guilty.
It's true.
Be unfair. And then the cops in general, like if you're looking at that and you think the pay sucks and all these things, like why would you join? Like why would you do that?
The risk and reward isn't worth it.
It's not there.
It's just not what. Okay, so if I shoot myself. There was actually a case here in Spain a couple of weeks ago. A guy had a legal firearm. Yeah. Legally, you're not allowed to use it as self-defense.
It's crazy, isn't it?
He pulled it out. He pulled it out to threaten the other guy. Somehow the other guy got away. The other guy called the police. I can't remember the exact fucking thing. But the homeowner got arrested. The guy who was in his fucking house didn't.
Yeah, makes sense.
Bro, this is how fucked up the world is. And if you don't think that if you're doing something logically right and morally true and correct, that they will just leave you alone just because you're a good person, get fucked, man. They're coming for everyone.
What would you do though in those circumstances? I always think that it's better to be fucking like judged in court than carried by friends. So I always thought that I would just shoot. I don't care. Like I don't give a fuck. True. Like I'd still shoot. I don't give a shit about going to court.
That's true.
Because I know that people can do it. Like
I don't shoot anyone.
Let me do one or two more questions, then we'll wrap it up.
Yeah,
we got
10% battery.
Alpha Foxy Otter. A lot of people have a tendency to create reality, a mental reality that they want to live in, rather than accepting the truthful reality, which isn't all sunshine and rainbows.
That's a good point. I agree with that.
Nail on the head there, brother or sister.
Let's see.
Where the
Probably
fuck
more.
did you get an apple from?
Isn't being religious and red-pilled a cognitive dissonance?
No,
I don't think so.
I can say this. I've pretty much refound God recently, just through a lot of various different things. Stephen knows quite a lot
When did
about
this happen, man?
Do you know what? There was something missing in my life, and I'm not going to give you guys some kind of sob story, whatever, blah blah blah, gay shit. But no, it was, I guess, to a point, because I think it was a couple of weeks ago, 2 weeks ago. Where are we? The 15th. Yeah, 2 weeks ago. It was the anniversary of my dad's death, and I thought, you know what? My dad was religious. Let me pray for him, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not going to say I had some crazy experience because I didn't. However, what I will say was afterwards, I felt that, because even though I can talk to you guys about whatever the fuck is going on in my life,
yeah,
and likewise, there was that fatherly figure, I guess, to a point, was maybe missing. And that's just me being 100%, which I always will be 100% honest with everyone. And, you know, maybe it's just phase, maybe it's not. But right now, for I think a couple of months now, me and my girl have just been praying every night. I was going to say religiously, which would have been ironic, right? But every night religiously, before we go to sleep. It's the last thing that we do. And oddly enough, and she'll always tell me in the morning, hey, how did you sleep? Before I even leave the bed. And for some reason, whenever she prays for me to sleep well, because she's seen that I've had a bitch of a day, which I have no doubt she will today, thank goodness. I sleep better, man. I sleep better. I feel better. I don't have as much pressure as well, just on myself.
Okay.
In a kind of, it's very difficult to explain. Maybe, I'll think about that question more in depth, and next one I'll answer that in depth. But it's very hard to explain because I'm still going through it.
I want to see a video on that. I think that'd be very interesting, because what I see in general is a lot of these like guys in the church. Like I think church and the red pill, it's a very like convoluted sort of topic. I see a lot of guys. If I go to church or see church, I go to church every now and then. I'll see a lot of the guys and they're just like blue-pilled dorks. Like, and they're not only dorks that are like in the church, they're dorks that are running it. And a lot of guys that run churches and like priests and even the pastors and all that, they're just secretly trying to get with the women there. Like it's very obvious. It's all sculpted in a way that benefits the women.
So true.
So obvious. It's like these blue-pilled dorks just trying to slide in the back door through religion.
They
don't have any like chads there. They don't have any guys that get pussy. It's just guys that can't get pussy, and then they try and like trap a chick in her, like, and they'll be like, I'm a traditional guy. I just a right like nice guy, and I'm just there, and I want this like wife, and she's going to be subservient to me and all this crap. And that's only because they can't get it out of the church. So they're trying to get it like by like dodgy means. They're trying to force her in a bad deal because they're still a beta male and a blue-pilled simp. But then they're trying to like find this like obedient wife, but they're not being trained on how to be men. They're trained on how to be sheep in that fucking churches, specifically in the West. So it only ends in disaster, you know. And I do think that red pill, it is possible to be a red pill, like Christian, Catholic, Muslim, any of that. I think Muslims in general are quite based, like they stand for shit. I've said it many times before. I know that I could walk into a church in the fucking West and like piss on the fucking place and do everything I want, slap the priest, and there's going to be fucking like no consequences. But if you do that in a mosque, you'll fucking
you're dead.
Like, they stand for shit. Like they'll fucking defend their beliefs, but a lot of guys in the West, if they're religion, they don't even stand for that
it's
shit.
because Christianity has become in the West. Well, it really depends on what we're talking about. If Christian, so Orthodox Christians in Russia, for example, you do that, they'll fucking tear you apart. Same in Greece.
They still have men in
Armenia. They'll tear your shit apart, limb from fucking limb. You disrespect God in front of them.
It's still a men's culture, you know. They have there's still men in the church. But the West scared the men away because a lot of it's catered to simps and betas. And a lot of it, like you'll see these Western guys and they'll hear like church, like, I don't know, guys will just disrespect their God that apparently is the biggest thing in their life and they won't do jack shit. Like they'll just be like, "Oh, I just have to turn the other cheek."
Oh, you have a differing opinion
You
from
should
me.
fight for it.
I
You have to
respect
be ready
that.
to fight for it.
Yeah.
A lot of those Muslims are, and that's why they're like quite based. A lot of the Orthodox, they actually stand for shit. Like you can't just fuck around there. In the West, they don't stand for jack shit. That it's just like the churches are just another capitalism business. Like it's very obvious. It's just another like sort of like profit thing. So they keep as many members there as they can. They don't want to like, they don't want to say there's like prerequisites to getting in. Like anyone can get in because then they make the most amount of money.
Another interesting example for Christianity is Africa, actually. If you look at a lot of the civil wars, some of them are political, but actually there's plenty of them that are more religious based. And it's kind of the same thing with Sunni versus Shia Muslims versus Islam and Christianity. But I mean, for me, for example, religiously, I respect whatever that person believes. They have absolutely the right to believe it, and I'll fight for their right to believe it. That doesn't mean that I need to believe the same thing or think or feel the same way or have the same connection with the same or perhaps a different God. That's their relationship with God. That's between him or her and God, right? Mine is mine, and that for me is something I consider very sort of sacred and something which for me is untouchable. And if someone does do something in front of me that disrespects my relationship with God, yeah, you're damn right, you're getting punched in the fucking face. But otherwise, you can say whatever you want about whoever you want. You start fucking with my relationship with God, then yeah, you're getting a face full of knuckles.
Yeah, I think that's very important. I mean, you can't really believe in something if you're not going to defend it. I think a lot of that's, like if you can have an idea, but you're not willing to defend like your position on an idea, even if it comes to the guys like getting violent. He's won the debate. If the ultimate debate ends with the guy who can generate the most force, like someone like Jordan Peterson can say anything he wants, but then if someone just says like, I'm just going to knock this guy out, like who won the debate? One guy's left and the other's not. Like force is just like what you can generate. It's not everything some intellectual discussion.
And I'm going to say something on this because I was having this conversation with someone recently. Fuck knows who, but and the thing is, you can be as philosophical, you can know as much about the subject, you can know more about the subject than the person that you're debating with. But at the end of the day, you only know so much shit until they shoot you in the fucking face, right? Then you don't know shit. Then they get to say whatever they want to say. This is just how history works.
The world is built. Yeah, history is in itself done by that. Like a lot of guys will look at history and they don't understand that it's been drawn up by the one who won the battles, like by the winners.
Yeah.
So they've been drawn in a way that makes them look the best because they were the last man standing. It doesn't matter about these fucking debates that you have. Like if you're in a unit of 10 guys and one guy stabs everyone else to death, it doesn't. He can just say that fucking he was self-defense. I was persecuted for whatever reason, and then it doesn't matter. That's the story.
And God was on my side as well, so that's why I win.
That's all that matters. It's not. A lot of this right and wrong like crap's bullshit. Doesn't really.
All right, guys. Let's close it off there because I gotta get something to eat.
Brilliant.
Appreciate it. Yeah, it was awesome, man.
Till next time.
All right.
I want to see that red pill in religion.
Catch you afterwards.
I really want to see this red pill in religion.
Yeah, I agree. I want to see that.
There's definitely a big need for it.
Yeah. I'll make it happen. I'll make it happen. Give me some more time because I need enough shit and experience.